Uh-oh.
Okay, we'll start with this. Poland's own unbeaten up-and-comer, Lara Grzyb, was in action earlier today with a comfortable unanimous decision win over Saray Unpierrez of Spain to win the vacant IBO super bantamweight title in what was a one-sided affair. After the fight, the judges' scorecards were read. Grzyb once again called out Yemi Mercado, Mexico's own WBC champion and the longest reigning champion at this weight. WBC champion at Super Bantam as of November of 2019. She's reigned as a champion for something like 4 or 5 years. In that time, I've seen Yemi make little to no effort to unify titles with any of the other champions at this weight. Titles have changed hands, new champions have been crowned, but all the while, I never saw Yemi push for unifications or undisputed.
Never.
And so, if her fellow champions don't seem to be on Yemi's radar, I don't see why Lara Grzyb would be. Lara, who advanced to a professional record of 11-0 with 3 KOs in what was a predictable fight that had a predictable outcome, but doesn't seem to have been a WBC eliminator of any kind. No, it was for an IBO title. That doesn't really bring her closer to a Yemi Mercado fight, not fighting in those eliminators.
This specific interest that she has for Yemi.
Sports professional record of 24 wins with 3 losses, no draws, 5 knockouts, having never been knocked out in 27 professional bouts. Clearly, the more experienced fighter of the two and the reigning champion, the particular champion that Lara wants to fight. There are 2 other belt holders in this division. I never see Lara call either of them out. Ellie Scottney, who's got a mandatory challenge she has to satisfy in Miyamoto, and of course, newly crowned WBA champion, Nazarena Romero. And I think she'd sooner have more luck getting Nazarena in the ring than Yemi in the ring.
Yemi, who saw action 2 times already this year, once in April, then again in June, there's still enough time left to schedule a keep busy fight.
Sometime in late November, maybe in December, before the year is out. Still coming off that win over Matchroom's own Ramla Ali. I expected Ramla to win that fight. She didn't.
She's fought 2 times. She's fought 2 times this calendar year.
To Lara Grzyb, who has fought but once. Just once, and that was this weekend. So the way it is, you're either going to have to make Yemi a big offer to travel to Poland for that fight. You're going to have to make it financially worth her while, or you're going to have to fight in some WBC eliminators. It's one or the other.
But it's not going to happen just because you're calling her out. It's not just going to happen because you say her name in interviews or post-fight interviews.
It isn't. Now, what specifically Lara Grzyb sees in Yemi Mercado that makes her a person of interest more so than Ellie Scottney, more so than Nazarena Romero? I'm not sure. Maybe she just thinks she's more beatable than the other 2 champions at this weight. Maybe she's got a thing for the green belt.
Some people do.
Some say it's the most prestigious belt in boxing, though I don't know where they get that from since it's not the oldest alphabet title or the most well-run organization, maybe the most recognizable.
But that hardly encompasses prestige.
WBC's reputation has been in the crapper for years. Why specifically Lara wants to fight the WBC champion, your guess is as good as mine, but it's clear that she has a preference.
She's not going to get anywhere if she don't fight in those eliminators.
The fact that she only fought once, just once this entire calendar year, accents limited resources?
Or a limited investment.
I don't get the sense that Lara has enough money behind her, promotion-wise, that they could lure Yemi Mercado to come to Poland, and I think it would take a lot of money to get her to do that. So the only alternative is fight in eliminators, WBC eliminators, so you can become her mandatory challenger. Force the WBC's hand, force her to give you a fight. And I don't see Lara doing that either.
Thus, these callouts are going to keep falling on deaf ears. Congratulations to Lara for advancing to a professional record of 11-0, but she's got to do more to get Jamie in the ring.
We then come to the Matchroom show, the super lightweight contest between Regis Prograis and Jack Catterall. I went with Jack Catterall to win the fight by way of a points decision, but it did turn out to be a more spirited contest than I initially anticipated. I went ahead and gave Jack Catterall the first round for doing what I expected him to do. Be responsible, use the jab, stay behind it.
As Regis Prograis showed a jab of his own, jab and a looping backhand.
Though little success with it, struggling to get within range of Jack to land those punches in the first round, I gave Jack the first round, Regis the second.
Regis turned it up in the second round, started doubling up on the jab.
Doing a better job of getting closer to Jack and landing punches on Jack in the second round. Gave Jack the first round, Regis the second, Jack the third.
Jack regained control.
Did a good job of slowing things down in the third round. Gave Jack Catterall the fourth round.
Same thing.
Controlled pace, a controlled affair where Jack's moving around, using the jab, occasionally landing clean, but he was the one in control, and that's why I gave him the fourth. I gave Regis the fifth.
More spirited in the fifth round, landing hard punches.
What was Regis Prograis' best round of the fight so far, the fifth round, I gave Regis the fifth. I gave Regis the sixth, where he scored a knockdown off a counter jab.
Jack was off balance and it sent him to the canvas.
Jack was looking a bit worse for wear in that round. Not as light on his feet, not as able to get away from the power shots from Regis as Regis was attempting to turn it up. I gave Regis the fifth round, the sixth round, and the seventh round. He was very productive in the seventh round. Both men suffered cuts in the seventh round.
Seven.
Jack regains control in the eighth, moving and boxing, surviving. Goes on to have his best round, his most dominant round, in the ninth, where he scored not one, but two knockdowns.
So what was working for Regis in the previous rounds was he was winging shots, trying, taking chances.
Swinging for the fences, but it costed him. It costed him big time in the ninth round, as he was caught out there two times and sent to the canvas. I gave Jack the ninth round. I gave Jack the 10th round.
Both guys were worse for wear at this point, but Jack showed the better work throughout the round, staying in character.
So I gave Jack the 10th round. I gave him the 11th, moving and punching, boxing.
He's way ahead at this point.
Finally, I gave him the 12th for Jack Catterall to win this fight wide on the cards. It was competitive in spots.
More than I thought it would be.
Passing thoughts. Regis Prograis didn't look like a shot fighter to me. He didn't look like a fighter who was in decline. He looked like a fighter who once again came up against a style that doesn't do him any favors. The power is still there. You could see it.
When he touches Jack Catterall with the backhand, his left hand.
Regis's problem is he doesn't know how to close the distance and cut the ring off. That's what we saw in the fight. His limitations as a fighter. The limitations in his variety of punches. Shooting the jab, then bringing the backhand over, the looping backhand.
Was predictable.
But the power is still there, and he still is a guy you don't want to stand right in front of.
Jack didn't. I didn't think he would.
Jack Catterall, crafty guy, underrated, showed great powers of recovery when he was hurt, when he was worse for wear, surviving and doing all the right things. Using the jab, managing the distance, setting up the counters, smothering Regis in small moments, pockets where he needed to smother Regis, where he's a bit too close for comfort and you don't want to trade with him. As Regis would try for the looping left hand and Jack Catterall would angle off, then come up, giving Regis the shoulder to smother him.
He's a good fighter.
After the fight, Regis Prograis, showing a lot of grace in defeat to Jack Catterall, said Jack was just better, that's all. Jack was just the better man, I'm not gonna lie. He definitely deserves a world title fight next. Good luck, Jack. You're really good. I fought the best, and you were the best out of all of them.
But I didn't see a shot fighter.
It's not cockeyed optimism. If Regis Prograis has to give chase, if he's the one who has to initiate and close the distance, then he's vulnerable. Not dissimilar from what we see with Teofimo Lopez. His last three fights, he came up against three guys that are moving targets, that are jabbers.
He's a counterpuncher.
And these three guys are not giving him the opportunity to land that hard counter. that home run swing.
So after 3 fights like that, people are gonna think you ain't got it anymore.
Perhaps Regis doesn't think he has it anymore either, as he has indicated that he might now retire from boxing following his latest defeat. I've had my time in the sun. Now it's time for the young ones. I'm gonna go do something else and let the young guys take over.
35 is not that old for a boxer.
In a very general sense, 35 years old. I mean, I know it's not young, but it's not that old either. Don't forget, Usyk's 37. Crawford's what, 36?
3 bad style matchups for Regis Prograis. 3 of them in a row.
He just never patched up the holes, it seems. He never worked on what he needed to work on. Cutting off the ring. You hear about it all the time, but it plays a major role in closing the distance against the moving target. And if you can't do it,
You can have all the power in the world. If you can't corner the guy and you can't land, it don't matter.
your power, it won't matter. And you know by now that Regis struggles to close the distance as he tried for home run swings. I mean, he put it all into his punches 2 times to the point to where he lost his own footing.
Guy swung so hard he knocked himself down.
It was like something out of a Tom and Jerry cartoon. But it's closing the distance that Regis was struggling with. That's what he needed to work on.
He just wasn't doing a good enough job of cornering Jack Catterall.
You're following Jack Catterall in a straight line as he moves lateral as opposed to cutting off the ring, going to where he will be, meeting him there so you can pin him down and unload.
There were moments where it looked like Regis could have knocked this guy out. Looked like he could have turned things around, but he just ain't got the feet for it. The movement.
And on heart, I don't think Regis is a shot fighter. I think he just had the misfortune of coming up against 3 fighters with 3 base styles that don't do his any favors, and that's what it was.
Many times do you hear me say it? A pure boxer is a counterpuncher's kryptonite because you're waiting for them to make a mistake. You're waiting for them to get callous and cavalier, and pure boxers really don't do that.
The earmark of anybody using that base style in a fight is defense. They're big on defense, so they're not going to be as callous and cavalier as, say, a pressure fighter.
In any event, Regis is contemplating retirement after 3 bad performances.
Jack Catterall advances. Jack Catterall moves on. I thought he would win the fight, and he did. Eddie Hearn stated, this guy is probably the most underrated fighter in the world. In 11 months, he's beat Jorge Linares, Josh Taylor, now Regis Prograis. All in 11 months. This man needs a world title shot next. We have Liam Paro versus Richardson Hitchens on December 7th. The winner of that fight, we want to put that offer straight to them to fight Jack Catterall next. He should be number 1 with the WBO. I would love to bring Teofimo Lopez to Manchester and give him a good ass kicking.
I'd love to see it. Stylistically, I think Jack could give Teofimo a lot of problems. A lot of the same problems he gave Regis because they struggle with the same thing.
But alas, I don't see Teofimo crossing over to Matchroom for that fight willingly, and he's all wrapped up with this legal skirmish against Top Rank.
He's trying to jump ship. He's trying to become a free agent.
And I don't think it's so he can fight Jack Catterall in Manchester. Push comes to shove, Teofimo might be alleviated of the WBO title, or he might drop it himself. Oscar, always one to keep up with all things Eddie Hearn, reacted to Regis Prograis' loss, saying, I'm sorry, Regis. Matchroom ruined your career with the worst matchmaking in the business. The clapback will be epic.
I don't think he knows what clapback means. Clapback means that you're retaliating, you're responding.
That someone took a shot at you, and now you're clapping back.
That's what clapback means. Not, I'm going to troll my contemporaries, I'm going to troll my professional rivals every chance I get because I have nothing better to do.
The only thing I can say about Oscar de la Hoya is he's got so much pain inside his heart. My thoughts and feelings are with him every single day. And I hope that one day he can find some happiness in his life. When we signed Regis Prograis, he headlined in New Orleans, defended his world title, made an absolute fortune, won.
Devin Haney after that.
Then he had a mega fight with Devin Haney, made an absolute fortune. And then, purely down to Regis Prograis, and I think he deserves so much respect for this,
Yeah, he does.
he chose to roll the dice in the UK against Jack Catterall. And Oscar de la Hoya is the biggest bellend I've ever met in my life. If he don't respect fighters for trying to be great, because that's what he says he was always trying to do, then the guy is the saltiest man on the earth. And he has so much pain inside his heart. I hope one day, as I said, Oscar de la Hoya can finally find peace and happiness in his life.
I don't even understand what the criticism is because they're both matchroom fighters. Regis Prograis and Jack Catterall are both matchroom fighters. Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose, but...
So did you ruin Blair Cobb's career?
Remember when Blair Cobbs fought Alexis Rocha? Both Golden Boy Promotions fighters at the time. In the fight, Alexis Rocha won. He knocked Blair Cobbs out. In doing so, is it Oscar's fault that happened? Did he ruin Blair Cobbs' career?
When Bektemir Melikuziev was matched against Gabriel Rosado and Gabe pulled the upset, he knocked Bektemir Melikuziev out.
Was that Oscar ruining his career? The way he claims that Eddie ruined Regis' career, matching him against Jack.
What, because he was supposed to ruin Jack's career?
He's giving the game away, is what he's doing. The way that he likes to do things and the way things are done at Golden Boy Promotions. What, you're saying that he matched Regis too hard? You wouldn't have did it that way? You would have matched him baby soft?
You would have protected him?
So maybe it's no coincidence that Oscar de la Hoya is a guy with a lot of time in the American boxing scene on the promotional end. And boxing in America just isn't what it used to be because of guys like Oscar, because of that mindset, that mentality.
You want to marinate everything, drag everything out. Keep guys in filler fights that nobody's asking for, that nobody wants to see.
You are 51 years old. Do you know how stupid and childish you sound?
You're the one whose reputation is in the crapper, with Canelo Alvarez, with Juan Manuel Marquez and Shane Mosley.
Are you so desperate to project your inadequacies onto Eddie Hearn that you're pretending it's somehow bad that a matchroom fighter beat a matchroom fighter?
Stupid Americans.
Oscar sounds like just another stupid American, talking because he's got a mouth with nothing to say.
Nothing substantial.
You know, this hard-on that he has for Eddie Hearn really all started when Canelo Alvarez left him for Matchroom and spent a lot of time there. But Canelo Alvarez would have never left you if you had your affairs in order. If you lost your biggest acquisition, your biggest account, your golden goose, it's not because of anything Eddie Hearn did.
Canelo Alvarez left you. Sinicia Estrada left you. If Ryan had it his way, he'd leave you too, because he already tried to.
Is Oscar so hopped up on whatever he's hopped up on that he has no situational awareness? He can't read the room?
You sound like an idiot.
A matchroom fighter beating a matchroom fighter somehow means that Eddie Hearn failed Regis Prograis? So what, is the matchmaking supposed to be baby soft?
Somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. That's the name of the game. Look at Jack Catterall's career and how much better it has been for going to Matchroom.
His career now has more traction, and he has more prospects on the horizon than he ever had any time before he joined Matchroom.
Or did you not know that Jack Catterall is a Matchroom fighter?
Did you ruin O'Hara Davies' career when he was knocked out in one round by Ishmael Barroso? You're so quick to point out what everybody else has going on. What do you have going on?
Not a lot. Doing shit like this.